Welcome everyone to a DOK and SAMR discussion. This presentation is put together by Aida, Don, and Rustam of LUSD's ITI project. Don is joining me on the conference as we go through and discuss the wonderful correlation of DOK and SAMR.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Don, how are you doing today?
Wonderful.
All right.
And you?
I'm doing great. I'm excited. We have a DOK and SAMR, which if you're in instructional technology and Common Core, you hear a lot of. And we just kind of talk through these two frameworks, each on their own, and how together they make such beautiful, sweet matrix. I'm going to say the impact on instruction you can have.
Yes.
Still fast on the slideshow. Here we go. So some goals we're going to be talking about. DOK and SAMR on their own. We're going to talk about putting these in a matrix, and the implications that has on teaching and learning, and have some fun.
Exactly.
Don, do you have to know everything about DOK and SAMR before you start listening to this?
No. Just a general idea is enough so that by the time we put them together into the crosswalk, it makes a lot of sense. But we'll review the DOK, SAMR, anyway, for any newbies to the conversation.
All right, let's do that. Let's talk about some DOK first. So DOK, developed by a guy named Norman Webb in the mid-90s, and it's a way of measuring the cognitive expectation demand of a task. And you can use it to assess standards, curricular activities, or even assessment tasks. And the general idea here is the higher the DOK level, the higher the rigor.
Yes. And also the more time it takes. For example, DOK level 1 activity could take 5 minutes, less, 10 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. But a DOK 2 could be 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. There is a little bit of a time constraint here. DOK level 3, we're looking at days of work. And DOK level 4, we could be looking at weeks, if not months worth of work in order to achieve that kind of level of rigor.
Yeah. And in some ways, it's kind of like a bit of those Russian stacking dolls. A DOK level 4 task could have DOK 3 or 2 or 1 underneath it. So the big learning task could be a 4, but it might still involve other components.
Yes.
And this is really about complexity, not difficulty. So just because something is difficult doesn't mean it's really involving rigor. A really long division problem is still a long division problem, no matter how difficult you make it.
And it's still just computation, which a calculator can do. And if a calculator can do it, then it's still DOK level 1, regardless of how large the number grows.
Yeah. All right. Now, if you talk about DOK, it might sound a little bit like Bloom's. Dawn, you want to kind of walk us through this, past this cognitive rigor matrix?
Yes, thank you. So as teachers, as instructors, we're very used to Bloom's taxonomy. And then we hear something new called depth of knowledge. And we think, well, they're kind of similar, and I'll just go ahead and continue using Bloom's because that's going to help bring rigor into my classroom, when that's actually a fallacy right there. They have wonderful, beautiful correlation that you can see right here, but they are not identical by any means. You cannot substitute Bloom's taxonomy for the DOK level at all. Take a look. On my left-hand side, you see the revised Bloom's taxonomy, and at the top, you see the DOK level. And if you examine it a little bit closer, can you switch to the next slide? You can see that for the remember level in Bloom's taxonomy, there's only one DOK level possible, level 1. It is anytime you ask a student to recall a fact, it's always going to be the lowest level of rigor, period. Now, if you take them to evaluation, if you ask a student to evaluate or critique something, it will automatically be a DOK level 3 or 4 or higher because it just requires that much rigor for the student to engage in that activity. But the complexity comes with the other levels, such as create. We're used to thinking about create as the highest level of Bloom's taxonomy, but just because it's the highest level of Bloom's taxonomy doesn't mean that it is the highest level of DOK possible. it could in fact be DOK level 1. Create a brainstorm of an idea. That is the lowest level trigger. But you can also create a synthesis of information across multiple texts, multiple sources, creating a new knowledge, new project that has never been seen before. That's a DOK level 4. So be very careful with just thinking that if it's create, it's the highest level blooms, then that means it's the highest level DOK. It's very tricky there.
You know what I like about DOKs? There's
What?
only 4 of them. I
There's-
don't have all the different blooms things. And they're numbered. So I know like 4 is better than 3 or 3 is better than 2. I have to remember better than evaluate or evaluate better than create.
Yes.
Much easier for me mentally.
Yes, and in fact, guiltily, I've kind of let go of the Bloom's taxonomy once I start exploring the depth of knowledge more, because it is that much easier to remember.
Well, kind of alluded to this earlier. DOK is a bit of a dance. You don't really stay at DOK 4 all the time because they're encompassing each other. So you probably want to avoid DOK 1, the recall and rote procedure work. And you'll probably end up at DOK 2, application conjecture sometimes. And then ideally, as a teacher, you really want to push to DOK 3 and build to this as much as you can. Whereas evidence-based explanation, there's abstract reasoning on the part of the student, still teacher-directed. And then at some point, you get to that super high level DOK 4, and it's more student-directed, and there's multiple explanations involved.
Yes. And of course, I'm going to bring us back to the idea of the Russian dolls. If we're doing a DOK level 3, then we are also doing a DOK level 2 and 1 to support that 3. So it's not like we're getting rid of 1 and 2. It is encapsulated in 3 and 4.
Now,
Right?
Yeah, and I was going to say, one of the things I get from my secondary voice is, so much of secondary has an emphasis that requires content knowledge and just knowing certain facts, and that really sounds like DOK 1 or 2. And to that I say, while students might need to go into DOK 1 or 2, the learning objectives and tasks can still be designed at a 3 or 4.
Yes.
And then you can kind of challenge yourself as a teacher to kind of remove the scaffolds where you were doing the DOK 1 and 2 work, especially when you have technology. When kids can start looking up things on their own, you just need to make sure kids are good at searching, and then DOK 1 almost takes care of itself.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
And that might mean a bit more focus on like librarian skills, that library science skill. But I think that's something that as teachers, we should be embracing, especially in our technology-rich schools.
Okay.
So that's DOK. This is about DOK and SAMR. So now it's time to talk about SAMR.
The buddy Sam. Isn't it Sam? Not Sam. Sam's not the guy who made this. No.
Sam did not make this. A gentleman named Mr. Ruben Puentedura, Dr. Puentedura, made this, and it's one of many models for tech integration. You could easily go and Google out others if you really wanted to. But the nice thing about this one is it doesn't try and do anything other than be a matrix for understanding technology integration. It doesn't declare the rigor or the level of learning. It's really talking about the level of technology integration. And so the substitution levels, when you start using technology, usually the first time it's just replacing a paper lesson, and then you get to the augmentation level. And that's really using the technology is giving you the improvement in the learning experience, but you as a teacher aren't really designed around it. That higher level doesn't happen until you get to the M or the R. The modification, you're really redesigning your lessons because the technology allows you to change the learning. And then the redefinition part, that's really because the technology has allowed you to do something that was previously inconceivable in learning.
Yes.
And for those of you who are kind of new to SAMR, there is no judgment about where you start at SAMR. You'll probably start at an S or an A below that line. That's just the normal part of a one-to-one integration.
Yes.
And just the inertia of your own professional curiosity and your student curiosity is going to kind of move your lessons up to the modification redefinition.
Yes. And just like the depth of knowledge, you would dance around. Even in a single day, I could be at an M level or an A level or an S level. You would just dance around the SAMR model, same as the DOK.
Lots of dancing today.
I like dancing.
All right, so this Mr. Puentedura, he has this great SAMR model. It's great for engaging tech integration. But, what's wrong?
What?
I want to call out something that I see in the field. And indulge me on this. I'm going to say that the SAMR model is a little incomplete. It's actually called the P-SAMR model. Because sometimes when you go in a classroom, technology is being used to subdue the student. And
babysitting. We're babysitting students using technology. Is that what you're saying?
Kind of. And this isn't calling out like it's not going to say it's inherently evil to do this. I could see times when if you had a habitually absent or tardy student, that possibly having them just come into class and pacify technology might be the first step towards an improvement path. I'm not going to say it's inherently evil, but if it's unintentional use of technology at any time, especially to pacify, that is evil. So if you use it to pacify, I'm willing to say it's kind of okay. There's probably a way you can justify it, but really be conscientious of the intended use and time.
Yes.
Anything to add to that, Dawn?
So long as we're not pacifying the students 100% of the time, 50% of the time, 40% of the time, there are moments when you do want to subdue the students with technology. For example, rainy day schedule on a Friday right before a 3-day weekend. You know what? Between 1 and 2 o'clock, I am okay with handing them the iPad and letting them go. Yeah.
You know, I kind of think like I'm on a car trip with my kids, and we have the choice in this modern age. We could either go buy DVD players for that 8-hour drive to the desert, or you can give them a tablet with games. And the intention is to pacify, but definitely think, a well-designed game is definitely better than most movies watched over and over and over again. So yeah, there's a place for it, but be very conscientious of that.
Yes.
Now, SAMR, because you said you dance on a DOK, they're not the same. Do not correlate directly. And if you're watching this, feel free to read through the comments. So this is the gold level, this matrix. If we think of a matrix here, we have our DOK from 1 through 4 going up, our substitution through redefinition of the SAMR going across, a little corner in the bottom there for pacification. And really, there's a gold standard to this I would like to get to as much as possible as teachers. When it's student-directed or this high level explanation and abstract reasoning with a significant use of technology as a one-to-one school or a school with heavy technology integration, that's where I want you guys at.
This is where the Common Core state standards want us to be. This is what's going to get them that super amazing CEO level job after they graduate. This is going to prepare them for the college and career readiness right here.
Absolutely, and they're using those digital tools to express themselves in multiple ways. They can spread across time and geography now. They can really use those as research tools in new ways. Very powerful. That's the gold standard. Now, as much as we love our technology, we're going to say that even at substitution augmentation level, it's still great. If you're getting students to be at those higher DOK levels, that takes precedence over technology integration.
Yes.
And I think, just once you start, if you're started off teaching with technology in your first year or so, first few months, this is probably where you're going to be at. That's what you should be aiming for. Now, we're saying that, we're a technology project and we love our high DOK. There is no point to going to high technology usage at a low DOK level. It's vacuous, empty waste of energy.
Can you give us an example of what you're talking about here for like a modification or redefinition of a DOK level 1 or 2?
I don't know if you'd even get, by definition of a modification, doing a significant lesson redesign at a DOK 1 or I don't know if that's even possible, but I could see maybe you do a really complex, like maybe at DOK2, you want kids to recall facts. You set up a global or across the country flashcard competition.
Nice.
Technically, you could not have done that without the technology.
Nice, right.
All you're doing is having a flashcard competition or spelling bee.
Yes.
And
that's very time intensive, and for what purpose?
yeah.
Now, how do you feel? I'm seeing this in the classroom a lot. A lot of movies. And I love movies, same as the next person. But we're looking at a lot of movies that are, let's say, in one classroom, every single movie, practically the same, because the teacher's already written out the script with little blank slots that the kids are going to plop in a couple of words, and then from there they make their movie. Where do you think that falls here?
I feel like that's training wheels to something. Some kind of modification at a 2. You might be getting up to a 3, and there might be a modification at DOK2. I'd hope you're moving then to a DOK3 in the future, where you take away the training wheels, the ab lib, where they pre-fill out the words in the script, and they can actually create the script on their own and choose the music and the visuals more on their own.
Okay. So as training wheels to something bigger and better. All right, we're okay with that. Spend a little time doing that, but not necessarily the entire year at a modification.
No, and I wouldn't really call this out. It's just kind of this gray nebulous area. It's definitely not. I don't know why you go there very often. Maybe I guess that would be an example. That you're kind of on the training wheels because you need to get them build up their tech skills.
Right. But then after that, let them go for it, right?
Yeah, and definitely encourage your kids to write their scripts on their own. That's just part of any good filmmaking. All right, so let's go to that last quadrant here, and this is low DOK.
What is this?
Low DOK. You know what? It's going to happen because your kids need to go down and do recall and rope procedure. They need to do application conjecture in service of a higher DOK task. And I do want to say there is a place for knowing certain facts to automaticity and expedience.
Yes.
But you don't need to teach to that level. The kids need to understand at that level, but that's not necessarily what your teaching has to be at. If you do feel like you have to go there, you really need to be very selective in that process. And I think especially in the math, sometimes, maybe in history, there's certain facts or dates or the equations or formulas you need memorized, but it really should be in service of a larger goal.
Yes.
And then if you're talking about English and you have this research part, you need kids to remember something, really rely on having to have technology. You got it present. You really don't need to go down to rote procedure and recall. You really should be teaching your kids those library science skills, is what I call it. And it's just kind of that ability to go find it, quality information, reliable information independently.
Yes. I like it.
And yeah, I think a lot of DOK 1 and 2, especially 1, goes away in the presence of a one-to-one environment.
Yeah. A good note here someone mentioned once is, if I can Google the answer, don't bother teaching it. Teach how to Google, but don't bother teaching that fact.
I cannot agree more. All right. So we're going to spend a little more time on this. So if you do on this recall and rote procedure and technology is present, it's not really teaching. There's one little band here, DOK 1, a substitute. If that's where you're at, you're going to be replaced by a robot.
Ooh.
I hear teachers say, oh, they're getting stuck. They, whoever they are trying to replace teachers with computers. And if your style of teaching can be replaced by a computer, then yes, let's replace it with a computer.
Yes. And it can only be done at the substitution augmentation DOK level 1 level. So yeah.
Yeah, it really, yeah. And I know my last 10 years in the classroom, there was this huge focus on standards and tests and recall information. and row procedures, but we're past that with Common Core and the new assessments. I think we can exit here and teachers don't have to act like a robot.
And the nice thing is we can feel confident and secure in our professionalism now, because with the DOK levels 3 and 4 things that are demanded of our students now, there's no way we can be replaced by a robot. So long as we're not teaching the DOK 1.
Yeah. So yay for technology around. All right, so a little bit more back to pacification. I usually think this usually ends up being a game in most scenarios. I usually see kids playing games. And I love games. I think games are an amazing place for learning. But I also know a lot of times, and I do this with my own kids, sometimes I'll give them a game and I'm not really aware of everything in the game or understand the nuances of it.
Right.
So in a game I'm in a classroom setting, I really should know how that game connects back to any kind of learning objective. And I need to be conscious of the time I'm allowing on that.
Yes.
All right.
Well, I think one last note on what you just mentioned about knowing the game is that comes back to teacher knowledge. The teachers, the adults, the instructors, we have to also know the technology well enough to know what's possible so that we can design these activities for the kids. Even at the pacification level, we need to know enough about the game so that we know what the students are going to get out of it. Not to say that we have to be masters, but just some level of awareness, just enough to know this is the instructional outcome. That's all we're asking.
Yeah, that's well said. So I think we'll do a quick little summary here. I've gone ahead and pre-generated some memes to kind of wrap up here. I love using memes as a quick capture because not only does you get the quick phrase, you also get kind of an emotion or a visual tied to it. So for pacification, you know, just don't kid yourself, all right? If you're not a DOK 4, fine. Just be honest with yourself. If you're going to be there, honesty is your best policy. So that low DOK 2, DOK 1 substitution augmentation. Yeah.
Where do you expect me to go with this, teaching?
Yeah. What are you doing to your students? All right. So that's that. So if you're going to the DOK 2-1, but you're doing all this high technology usage, but you're not really going to DOK.
So,
and you know you have a kid at every school who will look at you like this if you do something this boneheaded.
yes.
Yeah.
We're spending an hour on what?
Yeah, wow. That's a really fancy flashcard tournament. People all over the world. All right. Snarky Willy Wonka. So once you get your DOK, I gotta ask.
Where's the technology? Yes.
Yep. And of course, what we all aim for, well, every day of our teaching, of our life.
Ah, yes.
Success, baby.
Success, baby. The gold standards.
That is it. The high DOK with a high technology integration. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful.
And it's doable.
It is very doable. Do you get here every day? Maybe not. But this is what you're aiming for.
All right.
All right, Don. Well, thank you for being my guest on this.
Thank you for inviting me to this fantastic conversation.
If you're listening, you'll probably have a task assigned to you. Watch the comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye.